Hello, and welcome to season three, episode 42 of Quaint and Cozy KC. I am your host, Lainey Renee, and you know what we're going to do today? We're going to be all about the World Cup. Now, there are plenty of social media outlets and blogs and, all kinds of videos, all the things about the World Cup for, people coming into town. I want to focus on the locals, okay? Because here's the thing. I love soccer or football. I love it. Not everyone else not everyone else really rocks with football, soccer the same way. That's okay. I would encourage people though to at least watch one of the matches, maybe gather some people up or like go out to like and support one of your local bars. And watch some of them, watch at least one match there, right? Get a little appetizer, some drinks, watch a match or two there to support local business. So that is first and foremost, even if you're really not into a soccer, football that way, you want to support some, local venues, go out and do that. Okay. And now, because of the our traffic situation with the World Cup in Kansas City, it's made for some interesting, kind of even now as teams are arriving, it's made for some interesting traffic patterns. So what I would say is I'm in the Northland, so I plan on, for the most part, kind of staying like kind of in the Northland for the most part. I do have some things that I have to do, some social engagements that I've already booked that are in the Crossroads area this month, like later this month, and that's totally fine. But for the most part, I'm staying in the Northland, right? And you might be listening to this, and you might be in Lee Summit or Independence, Blue Springs, Platte City, someplace like Platte City's up north, Belton, Johnson County, Leavenworth, KC, that area. And again, because it's all going to be like these matches are kind of spread out within our city, so there's going to be like traffic flows, all of that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make some suggestions. Now, I think maybe a few episodes ago I kind of like tippy-toed into this and I was like giving examples of like things to do. So I'm going to do that this time again, but I'm going to really kind of drill down on it since we are in the midst of the World Cup is starting next week. So I'm really excited about that. It's starting, and so yeah, so I want to make sure that all the local people that are here, and again, if there are tourists listening, because I believe it's not always going to be tourists flying in from out of the United States. There's probably going to be people coming in from Omaha, Colorado, Oklahoma, other parts of Missouri and Kansas that are also going to kind of descend on this area to just kind of check things out. They might even just do day trips, right? Save some money. They just might be coming, doing like, picking a day, doing a day trip, watching the World Cup from Kansas City, even though they might not be able to get a ticket, you can still, still think it's exciting to be in the same city as one of your favorite teams that are playing, even if you're not in that stadium. If you're a true fan, you totally understand. Okay. On that note, let's get it started. So of course, I'm going to start up north. Okay. So, and again, through the eyes of a tourist, through a local tourist, whatever, what you can do is and as you could write this down and I'll also have things in the show notes as well, but let's start off with because a lot of people are going to be coming here on the weekends because maybe they can't get work off during the week. So of course you want to hit up a farmer's market. You definitely want to do a farmer's market. You probably also want to hit up a community garden if you're kind of into that, or a park, or a lot of the parks here do have paved trails, so you might want to hit up that. And then also what you can do is maybe you want to try a coffee shop, like a local coffee shop in the area. You want to do that, so add that to your list of things to try. And maybe there is a bookstore, like a used bookstore in the area that you want to support. um, and then also there's probably like, so you've done all these things and it's approaching like, I don't know, lunchtime. So now it's lunchtime. So maybe there is a cute little cafe. And again, a lot of coffee shops have like lunch food now. So that's great too. So you might not even have to leave. But if you're like, hey, I want to watch one of the games, there's probably like a local, sports bar around that will gladly put on the game for you. So you want to probably support something like local. Also, if you've got a certain team that you're supporting, if you do a Google search, you'll kind of see where all the other fans are. as well. So that might help you. Although if you do that, sometimes it might mean that you're kind of going towards into the crowded parts of the city. But if you're a fan, you're a fan. You might, think that that is worth it. So again, so we've got our lunchtime sports bar. Then you might be like, oh man, all this sports, all these things. It's like, I could probably check out a local museum. So again, check out the local museums that are in the area around. Now, not all of them are open on the weekend, just to, that's why you've got to Google things and then make sure if you're on their social media. Sometimes what happens is people will update their social media, but they might not necessarily update their website. So again, be looking at both. I would look at, again, the Book of Faces. I know not everybody's on there, or Instagram something to kind of just make sure that the hours that you have internet searched are accurate, because sometimes they'll kind of let you know, hey, we're going to close a little bit earlier today. They'll put that on their social media. They might not put that on the website, because it's probably a little bit more time consuming to do that. So you've got local museums. Also, there are tour guides in Kansas City that, they run like tour companies. So what about, and again, you probably will have to book this in advance, but just kind of be mindful of that. Maybe getting one of the walking tours, like a Kansas City walking tour to, one of the areas. Now they might limit that depending on how many people are around. Like if there's too many people around, they might be like, hey, we're not doing, tours on this side of the city, but if you come to the other side of the city where it's a little less crowded, we'll do a tour for you over there. So again, some things to keep in mind. Also, what you want to do is you want to, if you're, especially if you're coming from out of town, or sometimes as a local, you're only in one part of town. So you only know the Northland, but you don't know anything outside of the Northland. I know a lot of people like that. No judgment on them. So this might be a really great time to learn like where all the Kansas City neighborhood districts are. Another, might be a nice good time to do that. Now, also, there might be some live music around, so you might want to check out some local live music. Sometimes coffee shops will have like acoustic guitar people and, just like I call them coffee shop bands kind of playing, like trios playing or a singer or something like that. So it might be kind of cool to catch some daytime live music because, the Quaint and Cozy KC, we keep auntie hours, okay? A lot of times we have rolled up the sidewalks by like 8 p.m. in the summertime. Usually it's like 6 or 7 in the wintertime. But again, I'm just gonna, throw out these ideas and you kind of decide what, what your time frame's gonna be. So some daytime live music. Then you might want to go and you might be like, you know what, let's watch one of these matches. So you might want to watch a soccer match. And then you come back out and you're like, okay, well, what can we do? We watch the soccer match. Go and look for some karaoke. There might be some great places that are doing karaoke. If it's again, I'm presuming it's a weekend night, like a Saturday, a Friday or Saturday, probably a Saturday to do that. So you've got karaoke going on. Um, Also, there are also some nice arcades. So if you want to do something where you're like, hey, let's get out, but I don't want to get too fancy. There are a lot of arcades you could check out, do that internet search and to kind of see where the arcades are next, nearest to you. Now, of course, there's going to be people that want to go to the movies, and that's totally fine. No judgment here. So, check out some of the movie theaters. Now, also there are maybe there's some smaller movie theaters that you want to check out. There might be some live performances at night. You might have like an evening show, some evening like local music that you might also want to check out. So like evening local music. And also there might be some plays going on. So check out some of the local theaters. And of course, we've got a lot of stuff like in that downtown kind of area, but there's also some community theater. So check out some community theaters. They might be doing some plays right now. You can go out and you can support them as well. And then I was like I'm just like thinking, like my mind is just like kind of like thinking a little bit. And then also look at some of the local farms. Sometimes the farms they have things, you might be able to sign up to pick some berries or pick some berries or listen to a lecture. So I would also check out the events with the local farms. Now, some of the farmers markets are near farms, but not necessarily on farms. But check these things, check these things out. Also, there might be something going on as far as the lakes. So look at some of the lakes. The nearest lake to you. It might be, something going on. Okay, so now I am gonna just list off some cities in the Northland. We're gonna start off with that. And so Liberty, Gladstone, Parkville, Excelsior Springs, and Smithville, all located in Missouri in the Northland. Kansas City, like check those out. If you are staying in the Northland, those are some key cities. And then also Platte City. Check these things out. And then I would be remiss if I didn't mention Weston. Weston also has, some of the things that I mentioned. They've got some great museums over there, like a really kind of a cute little farmers market that's there. So you've got those cities. So Liberty, Gladstone, Parkville, Excelsior Springs, Smithville, Platte City, and Weston. Also, now here's the thing. St. Joe is a little bit of a drive. It is a little, but it's super cute. So if you wanted to do like a local tourist kind of thing, and they've got a lot of museums up in St. Joseph that are great to check out. The farmers market's pretty decent. So you've got that going on as well. So those are 8 cities that you can kind of visit in the Northland. So now we're going to kind of go south. Now this gets a little tricky because they are going to be playing, matches, nearby. So we've got Independence, we've got Lee Summit, we've got Blue Springs, Harrisonville, and Belton. Those are kind of like my top 5 of places. And then of course, Raytown is a cute little. They've got some things going on in Raytown. It's a little bit smaller, but they still do have some things going on there. And then let's go to Johnson County. Now, Johnson County has so many cities, but here are my top cities: Overland Park, Olathe, Lenexa, Shawnee, and Merriam. They always have a lot of things going on. Now, if you're going to go way south, there's, Spring Hill is out there and Gardner. Also, some places you might want to check out to see if they've got anything going on out there. And then, of course, there's Leavenworth, Kansas, and Bonner Springs, Kansas. And now when you go to Lawrence, because there's Lawrence is probably going to be hopping there as well. So again, that might be like a center of a lot of activity. But there's Lawrence if you kind of want to do something local. If you're in kind of in that area, you're like, you know what, let's just like roll over to Lawrence. They're probably going to have a lot of stuff going on there, but it will be a little bit more crowded. So you just kind of have to, figure that out. So those are kind of like the quadrants. So I listed off kind of the things to do, right? Just like, generic things to do, because then you can, do an internet search and figure out what's closest to you. That's probably the best way to do it. And then, those activities that are closest to you. And so yeah, so that's what we've got for kind of the World Cup. Those are all my suggestions to do. I think the most important thing for me is that everyone be safe and have fun. And also we support local businesses, because I think what happens sometimes is everybody, even here, like even in Kansas City, that we all flock to that tourist area, and we've got cool mom and pops and our kind of like our own little quadrant. So it might be something to kind of, think about. So because we've got like I think a month or so of the World Cup, and so maybe you can't do something every weekend, but maybe you can pick a Saturday and go support something local. And of course, all the cute little local shops as well. Like, there's really cool little metaphysical stores, clothing stores, of course, like a crafting stores. Who does not love a good crafting store? The bookstore, used bookstores I mentioned before. So yeah, go and show those places some love. That's what we're all about in this quaint and cozy KC lifestyle. So I'm not sure where I'm like what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to stay in the Northland, as I said. I'm probably going to hit up Liberty. I'm probably going to visit Weston there's a museum up there that I have not been to in that area. So I'm going to be like, doing my whole museum tour there. And so that's kind of what I'm looking to do. And I will probably catch at least a couple of matches, I think. I'll probably go out and support, like one of the local bars here, sit and watch a match, get some appetizers, split an appetizer, I think, with my guy, and watch some football. And I'm really excited. The World Cup to me brings people together. I've lived in so many different places like I lived in Minneapolis when the World Cup was going on. I have lived in Los Angeles during the World Cup. I've lived in Newport, Rhode Island during the World Cup. And of course, in the Kansas City area, during during the World Cups. But I loved it so much because it brought so many people together. And I'll tell you, when I was in Minneapolis, I can remember eating at this restaurant. And it was kind of on the later side. Like I think it closed at 10 o'clock, but it was kind of dead. And we were there at like 8:15 or something like that. And we were still eating. And you would hear like these cheers coming from the kitchen because it was a cute little local spot. You hear these cheers coming, and then when I went to the restroom, before we were leaving, I went to the restroom and it was kind of near the kitchen, and I passed and I saw so many kitchen staff people of different races and backgrounds and stuff, like watching this little TV and just cheering. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what the World Cup is about. We are bringing people together, and especially during these times that we are living in, it's so important to have something positive to unite around. Okay. And on that note, thank you so much for joining me. This is a very short show because I was like, I've got to get something out that is just straight dedicated to, the World Cup and some of the things that we can do in the Kansas City area. As far as that, and for comfort, I would say watch some of these watch some of the backstories of some of these players and the teams. That's one of my favorite parts of like the Olympics, of the Super Bowl, of all the things, is like learning the backstories of the teams and the players and the coaches and some of the fans. It's so great. It's so wholesome. And so, yeah. And next week, I will be back with more localized Kansas City quaint and cozy activities. You guys have been so great. Like, thank you so much for supporting me. I'm at Quaint and Cozy KC on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And my TikTok is really, I'm getting more and more people, more and more eyes. Same with YouTube. I'm getting more and more, like it's slow, like a slow build. So thanks everyone so much for that support. And I'm really glad that, people are writing me and telling me, hey, you're helping me to find really cool little out of the way hidden gems in Kansas City. So thank you so much for that. And I actually explored a couple of hidden gems today. One of them I had been to before, and I'll about it in the next episode. And the other one I had sort of thought about going to. And so I actually kind of like on my lunch break, I took a quick little lunch break and ran over there and checked it out. I just did a glimpse of it. I didn't go all the way with it because I didn't have a lot of time. But yeah, I'll be really excited to kind of talk about that. Okay. On that note, take care, everyone, and I will talk to you soon.